With me here now in the studio is the former Iraqi ambassador to the United States, Samir Sumaidaie, and from Los Angeles joining us is Luqman Barwari. He is the president of the Kurdish National Congress in North America. Gentlemen, thanks to both of you for joining us. Ambassador, let me start with you. The United States left, now they're back. What do you make of these latest developments?
Well, the situation now is a result of multiple failures on behalf of several actors. First, I have to say the Iraqi government has failed its #1 duty, which is to protect its own citizens. This has been building up over a period of time. We've had a government that has failed on every possible dimension, and the most important is the security dimension for a whole number of reasons that I have no time to get into, but there is failure there. There is failure on the part of the United States, which took the dramatic step of invading Iraq, occupying Iraq, and thereby took upon itself a responsibility for protecting the country and the people that it occupied. The history of the last 10, 11 years has not been a happy one for Iraq, certainly, and has seen a series of deteriorations that resulted in this. So now we have two aspects to this current situation. One is the pressing humanitarian situation, which cannot wait. There are people and children who are dying as we speak.
Right.
And they will remain on the conscience of anybody who has the power to intervene and help them if they don't. And there is the other track, which is the political and military one, which, of course, will need time to be dealt with.
Right, let's go to Mr. Barwari. He's in Los Angeles. Mr. Barwari, we were told that IS fighters threatened the Kurdish capital, Erbil. So do you support these strikes by the United States?
Absolutely. I think the American government has the obligation to protect the citizens of Iraq, including the Kurdish citizens, whether they are in Erbil, Sinjar, and also the minorities that are threatened by this ISIS or ISIL, as they call themselves now.
Ambassador, one of the questions that these strikes raise is, what's the end game here? I mean, does the United States continue with these strikes? To what end?
Well, this Caliphate state or Islamic state is a threat not only to Iraq and the Iraqi people, it's a threat to the whole region, and ultimately it's a situation that should not and cannot be tolerated by the international community, because it's an area which will be a safe haven for all kinds of terrorists for time to come. So it's got to be dealt with. Now, the Iraqi government is trying to get its house in order.
But there were conditions created for them to flourish in this area.
Exactly. And the fact that there, if you think of it as a bushfire, it started in Syria. The failure to put that fire out has resulted in it spilling over into Iraq, and the conditions in Iraq have helped. Now the situation is, as I said, in the short term, the pressing issue is the humanitarian issue. The second tier, if you like, is to get the political system in Iraq mended at least to a level that allows the Iraqi government to act. The third level is to then really get a kind of alliance of forces that will clean the whole area of this scourge, which is ISIS.
Right. Mr. Barwari, the Kurds have made no secret of the fact that they would like to be an independent state. Do strikes by the United States against IS fighters help that goal?
Well, first you have to establish a security in the region before, and then create a platform for that, a referendum that they've been, the president of Kurdistan, Mr. Masoud Barzani, has been recently talking about. I think without the security, this goal would be a distance goal to reach.
Ambassador, you've given us a catalogue of catastrophe, if I could put it that way, of what has happened in Iraq. Now, when you hear things about the Kurds wanting to have independence, are we going to see the dismemberment of Iraq?
I hope not. I am a committed Iraqi nationalist, and I believe that the Kurds are an important part of Iraq, and I hope they will remain as part of Iraq. And I believe personally that they will do better. If we can mend the rest of the country, they will do better within Iraq than on their own. Now, let me just emphasize that the Kurds have, in this crisis, have behaved very responsibly. They are actually sheltering tens of thousands, not only of those who were driven away by ISIS, but also people who felt threatened in Baghdad and in Anbar and in other parts of Iraq. The Kurds are sheltering them, they're protecting them. They have, and they are now intervening and fighting with all their might against ISIS. The Kurds are an important element, and they are a part of the solution, not a part of the problem, and they should always be thought of in those terms.
Okay, Mr. Barwari, what can you tell us about the humanitarian situation in that part of Iraq? We know that thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, have been driven out of their homes.
Well, yes, we've been seeing this on TV, and we can read this calamity on most of the websites that I've been visiting. It's unfortunate that these people are, especially the Yazidis, have been driven to the mountains in this heat, very high heated situation, summer heat situation, where they have very limited resources, food and waters, to survive on. A lot of them have been dying. A lot of children and elderly have been dying. In addition to that, a lot of Kurdish Yazidis, female women, have been held captive by this ISIS. So this is a dire situation. I think it has to be, this is an emergency situation. America should consider itself responsible for bringing these people back to their cities or villages where they had to escape.
All right, Ambassador, we heard there Mr. Barwari talk about the Yazidis. This is the Christian minority in that part of Iraq. They've been held under siege on a mountain, Mount Sinjar. They don't have food, they don't have water. The United States has been trying airdrops of food and water. Do we know about their fate right now? Has the siege been broken?
Well, first of all, let me just make a point. The Yazidis are not Christians. They are actually adherents of an ancient, rather unique religion. Iraq is a museum of ancient cultures. This is one of them. And I'm sure the Kurds relate to the plight of the Yazidis, because they themselves took to the mountains in 1961 when Saddam threatened to invade Erbil and wreak havoc. So we've been there before, and the Kurds have been there before. Now the situation is even more severe. I think what the solution is not going to be by dropping bottles of water or parcels of food. The solution will have to be urgently creating a corridor, a safe corridor for these people to be evacuated into safer areas until the situation is resolved militarily down the road.
Well, Mr. Barwari, I presume you are in contact with people in Erbil. Could you give us some idea, or are they telling you what it's like, the atmosphere in Erbil?
Yes, well, actually, I have been in contact with them via emails and Skype, as well as texting. People are very scared in Erbil because the ISIS have basically managed to become very close to Erbil, only about maybe 20 kilometers away. And a lot of people in Erbil that I've been in contact with are telling me that a lot of inhabitants of the city are very worried about a sudden strike, and some of them are getting ready to leave the city.
Ambassador, how is the Maliki government responding to all of this?
With speeches. Maliki is clinging to his seat and would not leave it. And really, the next few days have to be decisive in getting him out of it. Without change at the top, without change at the helm of Iraq, we're spiraling downwards out of control. So with Maliki out of the way, hopefully this will clear the way to create a leadership that is acceptable by everybody and will be trying to steer the country out of this mess.
Ambassador Samir Sumaidaie, Luqman Barwari in Los Angeles, thanks to both of you for joining us.